So a big round of applause for our panelists. Yeah, there was one last question, but unfortunately we are out of time, sorry. I would encourage maybe you have some kind of... Yeah, sorry, we want to give some time for the next session, but it's also kind of connected to this one. So the next session in this room is going to be affiliate health, criteria, and changes to user group recognition process. So it's really connected to what we are discussing. So please stay for that one if you're interested. But yeah, a round of applause for our panelists, and thank you so much also for the participants. And to Geoffrey, and others who is not here, but he was part of planning of this session. Thank you so much. A photo for the panel, and then as we switch for the next session. Mohammed, is Mohammed Elaide here? I'll introduce you and then. Yeah, so yes, we are starting the next session. Please, you can have a seat. So yeah, our next session is affiliate health criteria and changes to the user group recognition process. So if you are someone who is not yet a user group and you are in the process, I think this is a very important session for you. Okay, so yeah, over to our speaker to start the session. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining this session. And as Geoffrey rightly said, the first session kind of introduced the session in a way. There was this question on what a user group is and also the issue of conflict management. And so by the conclusion of this, you have some form of idea as to how this is done. And the name of the committee that handles the issue of user groups, chapters, and also the issue of conflict management is the Wikimedia Committee, and it's known as AFCOM. So I'm sure most of you have heard of AFCOM. And so if you've heard of AFCOM, then you know that this is the Wikimedia Affiliations Committee. And this is a community-run committee. That is, volunteers are selected from the community, and then they become a part of this committee. So the committee's purpose is just to ensure the recognition of affiliates, that is groups within the movement to be formally recognized as affiliates. We also have the role of conflict management, which was earlier on mentioned. And so in an area where we have people working with people, there are bound to be conflicts. And so these are ways in which we manage them. We also have the role of the capacity building, so trying to conscientize the affiliates on what is expected on them. Some form of training is also involved as our purpose, and movement contribution. We have so many committees, and so by way of sharing our workflows, by way of engaging with other committees, we are contributing to the movement. So you might be wondering what AFCOM is made of, or the affiliations committee is made of. We have 9 members currently, and as you can see me, I'm the more or less like a newest member to AFCOM. And then we have the advisors. So the difference with these 2 groups is that the members have the voting rights and they make decisions, and then the advisors provide some form of advisory support, and they've been actively involved in the review of some of the cases that happen in recognition process as well. We also have the support of our board liaisons, and they serve as the word liaisons mean, they kind of bring a bridge between the foundation, the Wikimedia Foundation, and AFCOM. And so they work with us to provide reports to AFCOM on the work that we are doing. And we have the support of the committee staff, community resource team staff, who are also helping us in our work to be better. In terms of to ensure that we are able to actually recognize people, we are able to solve conflicts, we have subcommittees within AFCOM, and this is in the way of the conflict management committee. So any issue related to conflicts, it goes directly to the conflict management subcommittee. And we have that of the affiliate recognition subcommittee. And the newest one being communications. I don't know how many of you have seen our newsletter. Anyone has chanced upon our newsletter for this year? Okay, so the communications subcommittee is working on this to ensure a more kind of transparent process to conscientize people about our work. Most people may not know, some people do know, but it's also to bridge that gap there. And so that is what we are doing. And we use the newsletters. We are looking at exploring social media platforms as well. So do check out those spaces for more details. Yeah. And the topic that brought us here, the affiliate strategy. How many of you have heard about this? For those who are already existing user groups, that there's been changes to the affiliate strategy and also the user group recognition process. Okay, so what happens is that in last year and prior to that, there have been some form of report as to how to work with affiliates. In what ways can we be better and ensure a healthy affiliate system or an ecosystem of wiki movement volunteers? And then out of that report, we realized that there was the need to roll out some form of criteria that will help affiliates in their documentation, but more importantly, in their health. And so this is the change, that is the affiliate health criteria. And also the report also added that there was the need to review our recognition process so that we could have the better affiliate health system. And so there was a pause in reviewing those who want to become affiliates since 12 June. And now it has been we are actively working on bringing in new people or reviewing new submissions. And so I'm sure for those of us who applied after the 12th of June, you've received some emails that are in regard to the new process, which you'll get to know in some few minutes to come. Yeah. So by way of workflows on user group recognition, someone wants to become an affiliate, formally recognized. So how is this done within AFCOM? It begins with a criteria review, and it has some form of guidelines. Do you have 3 active editors from your community, especially for the user groups? And then this changes from the chapter to the thematic level. And after this criteria review, and then you do meet it, we also check to see if there's any form of overlap. And especially in a region where you could have 2 communities having the same goal or scope, this can cause some form of overlap. And so we do to try to check on that as well. And after we've reviewed all this, the first 2, we make a decision whether to actually grant this group, the user group status, or formally recognize them. And it's done through the voting of all AFCOM members, that is those who have the voting rights. And after this decision is made, we do share it by communicating to the participants or the organizers. And these are usually to the 2 primary contacts that are submitted to AFCOM. So if you are interested in becoming an affiliate, you do send to primary contacts that will be contacted for every other thing related to the would-be user group, should I say. Yep. And we have this scan here, you could scan it to get more information, and you can find more information on our meta pages. As far as the new recognition process goes, we've introduced this a live interview. Sometimes text will not probably communicate everything well. So then there's this a live interview with the would-be user group. And I know that emails have been sent to these interested people about this process. And so they know about it. And also, there's also the need to publish a letter of intent. I want to become a user group. This is what I want to achieve, your goals and all those things, so that other communities will be aware. By this, you will even have the opportunity to share your ideas or opportunities for collaboration and partnerships thereon. So this is the other addition. And the final one being that there's going to be a 1-year trial period. So after the interview, meeting, sending a letter of intent, and then being seen as a potential user group, you have a 1-year trial period, after which you can formally be recognized as an affiliate under the movement, yes. And you realize that we've been mentioning more of user groups, but some of you are already aware that we have chapters and thematic organizations. And what we do as AFCOM also is to review their bylaws. And then that is bylaws with regards to the community, the board. How do you select people to be leaders within the team, or how does one become a member of the team, and ensure transparency or governance issues. This goes all under the bylaws. And after that, we do have a criteria review by the staff, and also we as AFCOM have a criteria review, and then we vote. We do this just to provide some form of recommendation to the board of trustees, who would then decide that, well, we are going to grant this group the chapter or thematic organization recognition. So that's as far as recognition of the user group chapters goes. Conflict intervention, and these are bound to happen within our communities. So how do we go about this? It first begins with an awareness of the conflict. So if there's an issue between 2 kind of affiliates, or an individual, and then the lead or the team, the organizers, the co-organizers, then they need to formally write to AFCOM. So if you reach out to me today with a conflict, I wouldn't be able to act on it, but all I'll do is ask you to actually write formally to AFCOM that this is what you want to do. And I would like to share that everything that is sent is under non-disclosure agreement. So we handle things without putting it out there with strict confidentiality. And after this awareness, we go on to have an internal review as to the case, and then we try to identify what needs to be done, and we go ahead with an investigation of this particular case that has been shared or the issue that has been shared. And from then we have a group conversation with the factors involved or the people involved. And from that conversation, we make some form of agreements, and also if there's any guidelines or some form of directions that need to be done, we communicate it at that particular agreement or follow-up. And so these are ways in which we actually ensure that we manage the conflicts that are brought to us within the committee. And so now you are a user group, you're a chapter. What do we expect of you? So user groups are supposed to provide, and even chapter, not an even chapters, they are supposed to provide reports at the end of their fiscal year. And so in the event that you forget to provide a report, you are sent a reminder that you need to provide a report. And in the event that you are not able to provide the report after the first reminder, we do this for the second, the third, and then the fourth one, which will be the final reminder. So if there's no form of engagement after this reminders, then we deliberate to have the user group de-recognized. That means you no longer will be recognized as an affiliate within the movement. And these are all done through the contacts that were shared. So you have your talk pages on Meta, we would send that kind of reminder there, and also directly to the emails of the primary contacts, so that every possibility of reaching the primary contacts is actually catered for. Yeah. And I mentioned about the affiliate health criteria. So based on the recommendations that were shared, not just by AFCOM, it was shared by movement leads, community leads. And so this wasn't done in silos, but it was done with involving community members, involving the affiliate leads. And so this came up that we needed to check on the goal delivery of the affiliates. So are they in line with the mission, the overall mission? And even if they are in line, are they also working towards that? And also the organizational development is important for sustainability of the whole movement. And so we look at if there's a practice of good governance and the communication with community members or even volunteers within the movement, and leadership. And it was highlighted here about the gender. So what are the efforts to ensure gender inclusion in the leadership, and partnership, which is also important for sustainability as the movement. So these are all embedded in the affiliate health criteria. There's a comprehensive document that details the requirements for each and every one, but just for you to have an idea of this. Yes, and for anyone who might be interested in what AFCOM, how do they execute all these things that I mentioned, that the user group recognition, the conflict intervention or management, and then seeing that we have a diverse group of volunteers, how do we actually work? So we work by having a monthly meeting as a group, and then we have some our officers having their own meeting, which is our president, the vice chair, and then also the secretary having a meeting, and also as subcommittees, that is the recognition committee and then the conflict subcommittee, we do meet to deliberate, attend to the issues that we have. And in the event that we are not able to cater to most of the items that we were left after our monthly meetings, then we use the office hours to deliberate on this within the week. And then we work with affiliates, and whenever we are called upon by affiliates, we do make the efforts to meet them. So please explore this. If there's the need to meet AFCOM, if there's a need to meet the conflicts committee, you just have to let us know, and then we would grant that request and meet with you. It could be that you need more clarity on the recognition process, or even on a resolution that was made. If you reach out to us, we are going to do that. And also we do provide quarterly reports. And I mentioned that this is embedded in our newsletter that we share. And so it tells us, it gives an idea of what has been done, the conflicts that have been worked on, the user groups that are coming in and all. And then we also have an annual strategic meeting. And these meetings are very important. It provides an opportunity for us to brainstorm, work together, and help us to support the affiliates. And this is done once in a year. The first one, I know of one happening in Paris and then the other in Singapore. And we are looking forward to the other one in November this year. Yes, so just in case you've not come across our social media pages, this is where you can find us, and even on Meta at afcom@wikimedia.org. And you could scan this for our previous newsletter. The third one will be coming out by the end of this week. Yes, thank you. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them here. Any questions from the audience?
Any questions?
Yes, and I would like to share that we have one of our board liaisons here, and he's at the back as Michael. So yeah, you'll be happy to answer any questions as well. So,
okay. My question is actually a follow-up from the last presentation. Yes, so I think it's the same. I understand people edit wiki everywhere. And my question is, how do you make those that edit privately to become part of us as a team that we already know we are a team, so that when we want to make a user group, they be part of us? I don't know whether my question is clear. There are people out there editing.
yeah.
Personally, I've tried to email them, but they don't respond.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, is it okay that we go on as the small group that we are, yet we know people out there are editing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know how do you get there when you know some people are out there? Maybe they are also planning something like this very same thing that we are planning to do.
Okay.
That's my fear.
Oh,
So
okay.
how do you go about it? Or have you ever found a similar challenge?
Okay,
Yes.
I'll try to answer that. Our previous programs manager was someone who used to edit, didn't know anything about an organized community, that is a wiki community in Ghana. And so he used to just edit on his own and has done that even using the mobile phone. So has a lot of contributions. And one of our key members reached out to the person on their talk page. Luckily for us, he responded. But on your case, you've not had any form of interaction from the other person. And by way of conscientizing, hello, can you hear me? Okay, so by way of conscientizing them about the community and what they do, the person expressed interest and then participated in the events. So I think it could begin with if the person does reach out after you did make an effort to reach out to them, it could be an invitation to your meetings and then exposing them as to how you do things here and even seeking their ideas or what could be. By that, you are including their viewpoints and all those stuff, and you get to know maybe what they want, what could be done amongst the two of you. And then you can invite them to probably take up that role if you don't have anyone to do that. You get it? I also believe that beyond that, when you identify what someone is more capable of doing, and you invite that person because this person is capable of doing this particular thing, it's something that is natural to them. So it makes them want to continue in that particular space that they are already working on, and then it moves on from there. But then if you try to invite them, if you've made the effort, the other way around would be someone who knows that person and can speak to that person on your behalf. Yeah, that's it. And you mentioned something about if they have the same idea. So let's say if they have the same idea of becoming a user group as you are, I think there's the need to discuss how best can we work together, because if we are going to overlap, then you know very well that there's going to be issues between us. So there's the need for you to kind of have a sit down, talk. How are we going to work such that we are rather helping each other and not causing some form of commotion within the movement? I hope that helps you. Yeah. Mike, do you have any other addition? No, okay.
Oh, yes. Thank you. So I just wanted to understand what are the indicators that maybe you guys realize if a user group is not active and then you send them an email and do you recognize it? And also, I think maybe this is also related to the previous session that we had. What qualities that do you look for when having a board member as well? Maybe you could also mention like what was
A board member.
Yeah, the
Okay.
qualities you guys were actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to your first question again that escaped me. Yeah.
What are the indicators
Yeah.
for
After
identifying?
yeah. So
Yeah.
a user group has not responded to the
Mhm.
emails that was sent for them to kind of provide a report. You know, by reporting, you tell us what has been done over the previous year, the use of your funds, and how you've managed the community, and then working towards your goals, which every project has that you have some goals to achieve. So if you do not provide this report, then that means it's easy to say that you probably didn't work on anything. You understand? And this is the case where countless efforts has been made to reach out to you, and so we couldn't reach out to you, and therefore we did recognize you. But that is not the final thing. If you are ready with a report, or you want to come back to be a user group, there's a way to also begin with that as well. By first, sorry, you have a follow up. In terms of no funds, yes, you've never received any funds at all. Okay, I'm trying to understand this. You've not received any funds for the previous years. And I believe projects do run on funds, right? You report on them as well. So if you've not received any funds, the only thing that will be needed will be your, like, probably other areas as to managing the community, I want to believe. But if you've not received any funds, it's safe to say that you probably haven't done anything. And so there's no need to come to you for reports when you don't have anything happening here. And in terms of board selection, for me, I think you should identify someone who has the mission or your vision in mind, or kind of stakeholders, people who would who work or are in line with your organization, right? Because if they have that kind of ideas to your organization, and they even have an interest, they'll be able to support you better within that role. But if this person doesn't have that kind of interest, they don't have, let's just say, the desire to work towards information being accessible to everyone, or the open movement, you realize that this person is not going to support you in any way. So the goal of your organization, or the overall mission of the organization, is important in identifying. And then you understand that we have stakeholders. We really need stakeholders. We have the media, we need schools, we need librarians. And so these are areas in which you could look out for board members to assist the organization. Yes, I guess this helps here. Any other question? Maybe.
Yeah, I think we will switch now to the next session.
Okay, that's great.
So yeah, a big round of applause for the presenter. Thank you so much. Yeah, the next one is going to be building the internet we want across Africa through policy advocacy. So Francisca, is Francisca here?
roundtable conversation. We're going to do a little bit of setup to rearrange the front of the room. This is going to be a roundtable conversation, not a panel. So if you want to participate, which if you're in the room, I hope you do, please come forward because we will only be doing questions and answers for a very short period of time, and then we will have a very open conversation and discussion. So anybody who is going to be a speaker, please come up front, and everybody else, move forward.
Thank you.
Oops. All right. Do we have everyone? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Shola's online.
Yeah, Shola is online.
Okay. Should we pull him up?
Yes. Taban, could you pull the guy
We have one virtual speaker. Is it possible to get him up? All right, we're going to get started. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. This is a roundtable, so I would like to encourage and welcome you all to join in the conversation. I'm going to kick it off with a few questions to the speakers you see lined up here, but really this is for us to have an open discussion with everybody in the room, as we heard in the opening remarks today. It's very rare that we all get to be in the same spot together. So the session is Building the Internet We Want Across Africa Through Policy Advocacy. I'm Ziski. I'm from the Wikimedia Foundation's Global Advocacy team, and it feels very special for me to be here because Indaba was my first ever community event. And at that time, I had a similar roundtable, but only one speaker. So 3 years later, you can see we have a lot more people up here and we have a lot more to talk about. You are attending major regional and international digital rights conferences. You are joining campaigns with the foundation to influence the United Nations. You are presenting in your local parliaments. You're building expertise on areas that are a top priority for governments across the continent, such as media literacy and education, promoting indigenous languages, and using open source tools and AI to preserve cultural heritage. So my job here today is pretty easy. I just needed to get the right people in the room and help you see who's doing what, where, and maybe we can start to plant the seeds for how we can continue to develop this advocacy muscle in the movement. So let me start with a really quick recap of what we're talking about today and why. When I say public policy advocacy, it refers to work where the goal is to influence the regulatory ecosystem in which our movement exists. So it really involves speaking with lawmakers and trying to change the laws in which we all operate. And that's because the ability to freely access and contribute information online isn't a given. There are challenges like government censorship, corporate or state surveillance, internet shutdowns, disinformation, and probably, as every person in this room has experienced, bad copyright laws. So that means as Wikimedians, whether you're a part of the foundation, an affiliate, or a volunteer, we need to always be prepared to stop bad government policies and promote good ones. And typically, those priorities come down to things like policies that will help protect the people of this movement, that will help protect our values of transparency, human rights respecting and trustworthy information, and protecting our community-governed model so that we don't end up in a homogenous internet ecosystem where only American social media platforms get to censor and decide who adds content and whose voices are represented online. So the goal for this session is really to start showcasing the diverse ways that Wikimedians on this continent are being proactive, how they're starting to build the networks and expertise needed to eventually influence public policy discussions. So we're going to start with those questions and then hopefully have time to open it up. Is Terry in the room? Oh, sorry, Carol. Okay, thank you. Swiftly moving on, we're going to then actually open up with Sadiq. I'll ask everybody your questions, but please, when you kick off with your answer, introduce yourself, the affiliate that you're up here representing. So there's no rules for what it means to do public policy advocacy. Sometimes there's a clear campaign you can work on. Sometimes there's a specific need you have, but the government maybe isn't ready to listen. They don't care about your problem yet. And you need to meet them where they are. And sometimes you just start by finding the right friends. So Sadiq, in your case, there was a clear campaign that you knew you wanted to join. Can you tell us more about the Wiki Loves public broadcasting campaign, why you decided to get involved in the first place, and what you think others at this conference could or should consider joining?
Thank you so much, Ziska. My name is Sadek Shahadu from Ghana, and I am the co-founder and executive director for the Dagbano Wikimedians user group. But on this panel, I will be speaking on behalf of the WikiLoves Broadcast International team. So as she rightly mentioned, I joined the WikiLoves Broadcast team because I wanted to understand how public broadcasting can help influence policies across the continent, especially Ghana. So I chanced on a team of volunteers, one being a member of the Wikimedia Deutschland team, and then some other volunteers who are contributing to the German Wikipedia, and they were part of the team. That was how we started the conversation, and I found it like a very interesting project because it helps bring public broadcasting into Wikimedia ecosystem by, adding, documentaries, like short documentaries, embedding them onto Wikipedia articles that allows people to have access to public broadcasting content in their country. So for us as a committee or someone who has been involved in several WikiLoves projects, I found the WikiLoves broadcast quite interesting because it will be an opportunity for us to reach out to policymakers and also public broadcasting corporations across the country. Ghana, we have the GBC who have a lot of records in their archives. Some of them are not publicly accessible. So this could be a way to integrate some of the rich content, bring them online, and also embed them on Wikipedia where people can have access to it. So the WikiLoves broadcast project started in 2018, but it was quite like a small team. But last year at Wikimedia, we formed the international team, which brought together several other volunteers who were interested in the project, just like myself. And we had our first in-person meeting with Vipin from Wikimedia Foundation, who has been helping us a lot, connecting us to international broadcasters like TerreX and BBC. And the most exciting part of this is that we've recently signed a deal with Thomson Reuters Foundation to include their content, documentaries that are between 2 to 3 minute videos in Wikipedia articles. And one of these projects also has German broadcast organization who have content that are already on the German Wikipedia, and we have like at least 1 million views per month and over 240 million views in all. This is just a snippet of what this project can help address, especially in terms of having the public broadcasting corporations buying into the ideas of Wikimedia or the policies that we can bring together as far as public broadcasting is concerned. Another advantage of this project is to help these organizations or public broadcasting corporations have their content viewed and have people reading. Like when you go to Wikipedia article, for example, you read an article about Ghana, and you see maybe independence video, a snippet of what happened during the independence. It allows you to see the reality of what happened during the independence, not just reading the Wikipedia article, but also we want to make Wikipedia articles more audiovisual, where people can not just read content, but have access to rich online videos that are may otherwise not be accessible, if not because they are attached to Wikipedia article. We know Wikipedia is one of the biggest platforms that everybody can access in so many languages. So having these video content on Wikipedia articles allows it to be more audiovisual, and to also tackle the issue of disinformation. A lot of people have trust on Wikipedia. So many people also have different perspective about how Wikipedia is. They tend to, for example, when you ask volunteers, some of them have trust issues because they don't think Wikipedia is credible enough, because so many volunteers can just jump onto Wikipedia articles and create content, so they think Wikipedia is not credible enough. But this project allows us to build that trust, where people can have credible content embedded on Wikipedia articles, where everyone can read them. Aside having the opportunity to watch them, you also read articles about them. And as I said, it tackles the issue of disinformation, where people can build trust with content that we put on Wikipedia. It also helps the readership or the viewership of these public broadcasters, because these content are publicly accessible and are also on Wikipedia articles. So this is basically what I can say for now. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that connection to the themes we heard in one of the plenary panels earlier this morning about the connection between Wikimedia's role in the information ecosystem and the work that journalistic institutions are doing is really crucial. I would venture to say that connection is often quite easy to see for most Wikimedians also if we're thinking about external partners that we can work with or other conversations happening about online information that makes sense for us to participate in. But there's a lot of other topics that Wikimedians have really valuable expertise about that other external allies want to hear from. And those aren't always clear to us. A great way to get a better sense of who's talking about what and what can we as Wikimedians share is by attending other conferences, such as the Digital Rights and Inclusion Forum, which is one of the largest digital rights conferences organized annually in Africa. And we have quite a few people here in the lineup who have attended that conference, but I'm only gonna call on two. So Carol and Candy, I'm gonna ask you this. She was not supposed to be here. I've just called her up. So thank you for playing along. The question is, could you two please share a little bit more about your personal experiences, what it was like to attend DRIF, and how you think other people who attended that conference benefited from Wikimedia's participation? What kind of things did they come up and want to learn more about? What questions did they have for you? What did they learn from you? We'll start with Carol and then go to Candy.
Good afternoon. My name is Carol from Nairobi, Kenya, Wikimedia Community User Group, Kenya. And I had the privilege to attend and listen to conversation on digital rights inclusion. And I think my perspective on so many things have changed when I got to know about what is happening around the world in terms of digital inclusion and how there is a lot of government abuse and there is a lot of so many people who are not able to access information. But for me, it brought a whole new meaning in terms of as my role as a Wikimedian. I have been able to champion more for women, for youths to be able to access internet and be able to access also Wikipedia and also introduce them to the free knowledge platform. And I was able to also understand how in terms of policy making and how even Wikimedians can be part of championing and part of being there when policies have been made and our voices to be heard. And what I will say about what did other people learn about our session and how they got to introduce about Wikipedia in our platform. And we got people asking all about Wikipedia, who accesses Wikipedia, who is supposed to access Wikipedia, who is supposed to access Wikipedia, and how to contribute to Wikipedia. So for me, it was a great session to promote Wikipedia, learn about rights, digital rights that we need to have, and also meet people who are policymakers, like we met some government officials from the country in Kenya, and we were able to have a conversation and see how Wikimedians can participate when the government is making policies and decision making for countries around Africa, and particularly for my country. Yeah.
Thank you so much, although this wasn't planned. So my name is Candy Trisha Kotliwe. I'm from Botswana. I'm a community member from Wikimedia Community User Group Botswana. So my experience during DRIF, I would say I got exposed to, I would say the biggest, well, I got to see how much challenge we have as Africa concerning the internet and how expensive it is. Getting to hear people's experiences, internet shutdown, and actually also like how we could be the sole drivers of policy making in our countries, and also just holding the torch and teaching people about Wikipedia as well. This open source community, how people can contribute, and because usually we have readers, so we could definitely have people also share our stories on there, write our own narrative. So Yeah, so I would say I think Carol kind of like said it all out. Most of what she took my words, but basically, what I would say, Drift was a great experience for us to actually champion. We shared what Wikipedia is. People got to for the first time, people didn't know they could edit, and they got to know about it, and especially concerning our native language. I would say that was also a really interesting factor where people were really, I would say they felt some sort of presence, or they felt like there's something happening concerning their communities, because we're usually underrepresented as Africans on the digital space. So getting to know that there's a platform where you can write about your language, Wikipedia, I would say it's really, yeah, it's doing amazing. And yeah, we were really excited to be the ones to break the news about that.
We can all feel really good about the work that we do now. Thank you. Sandister, as I mentioned before, usually the first time Wikimedians interact with public policy and the reality that we can't just do what we want and we're forced to follow what the government wants comes down to copyright laws. Those laws prevent us from doing what we want to do as Wikimedians, which is upload and share free knowledge. So the Ghanaian user group has been working on freedom of panorama for a long time. But I want to ask you specifically about the campaign you've been running in recent years, where you've gotten a lot of energy and new opportunities. I believe you've been invited to present to the parliament, and you're also creating some really cool media work related to this campaign. So can you tell us a little bit more about what you've been doing and how it's been going?
Thank you. So a bit of a background on the freedom of panorama and why Ghanaians, the Ghanaian user group decided to embark on that is there were many opportunities to discover that Ghana needed freedom of panorama. But one of the most important examples was that we had a Ghanaian Wikimedian in residence in South Africa. And I remember that he either showed us a photo or took a photo in a public area of a statue of Mandela. And that photo could not stay on Commons because though it was a public photo, it had to be censored because the statue was something that an artist had created. And so the fact that you can take a photo by yourself of that statue doesn't necessarily mean that you can own the photo because it contains someone's copyrighted work. And so it came down to the absence of something known as freedom of panorama. And because it's very legal, I'll just read something out to you. So freedom of panorama, according to our Wikipedia, is a provision in the copyright laws of various jurisdictions. It allows people to take photographs, video footage, and create other images such as paintings of buildings, sculptures, and other artworks permanently located in a public space, right? Without infringing on any copyright that subsists in that art of work. So without freedom of panorama, it means then that in that particular jurisdiction, you can't just take any photo you like of something that sits in a public space, right? Even if you take it, the way you can use it is very limited. Now, in Ghana, our laws do not permit freedom of panorama. What it permits is that you can take a photo of a statue in a public place or whatever, but you can only use it in a restricted way in movies, broadcast television, for news reporting, and in academia. However, for those of us who are Wikimedians who need to upload such photos onto Commons for different things, we can't do that. Even if we do that, that image must be censored if the copyright holder has an issue with that. So we decided to embark on freedom of panorama in Ghana. It's been a long journey because we were following what South Africa is also working towards freedom of panorama, and we were taking inspiration from them. The journey has been very long. Now, what is happening is that, first of all, you need to get the lawmakers whom you're trying to lobby and ask to implement freedom of panorama in Ghana or any other country where you want it implemented to understand even what that freedom of panorama from your context means. We are Wikimedians. We are building the internet that we want. It's not just about contributing content, but also creating an environment where the content that we create can be accessible and can even be created in the first place, because you can do your Wiki Loves monuments. go photograph a statue. But then when it's time to upload and someone says you can't upload that because the statue you are photographing is copyrighted, what are you going to do? So it's not about just creating content, right? As for the internet that you want, but also creating the environment within which the content that you're investing so much time into can actually be made available for free use, which is what the vision is. So what we've done is we have tried to speak with Parliament. Of course, we have a contact person there. And this person, the main thing is to help them understand what we mean and the context within which the freedom of panorama that we seek sits in the Ghanaian law, which is what I've said. It's available for broadcast news. You can use these monuments and photos for that, but you cannot use it on Wikimedia Commons for the purposes of uploading it on Wikipedia. Wikipedia is not part of broadcast necessarily. Wikipedia is not part of academia necessarily. There are certain restrictions that our communities and our products, which is the wikis, just don't fall into. So we certainly need some amount of awareness raised on that. So our contact person in Parliament says, well, maybe we think of a roadmap, okay? The steps which you need to take to be able to arrive there in lobbying or asking Parliament for this, to look at this law. So we just started by building something we call a preamble, which we sat with a lawyer to put together. Because first of all, you need to identify the gap in the law. You are not a lawyer. So we sat with the lawyer. He helped us identify the gap in the law, where we fit in, and then what needs to be changed. And so then we approach Parliament, and Parliament says, okay, what you need to do is to help explain what this freedom of panorama is. So then we thought about creating a PDF and also a video explainer, because these days explainers are really popular in our culture and helping people understand things that are very long. You just fit it into a couple of seconds or minutes of video and people already understand what you're doing. And then this roadmap says, first of all, even if Wikimedia Ghana is not continuing to look for freedom of panorama, this roadmap becomes a public document for anyone in the movement, any Wikimedian, to just take that template and carry on with the work. So for us, the recent development there is the building of the roadmap, which says, if you want freedom of panorama in Ghana, first of all, this is the preamble. We've already sat with lawyers and we've compiled what you need to know about the law and freedom of panorama. And then also, who do you talk to in Parliament? How do you approach them, right? How do you make your case and get your information across? And then after that, also, what do? You can't do this thing alone, because there are artists who are going to come for you and say that, no, but we get paid from our work. So why should there be laws that prevent us from taking you to court when you use our stuff like that and you are not paying us, right? So you are going to have people who oppose, people who need to be explained to that the future of the internet is also free. So, hey, can we?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
That's not a given. That's
Yeah.
what we stand for.
Yeah. So can we come to an agreement that if you put your statue in the public place, we should be able to take pictures of it and use it for, free knowledge. Not everybody will understand. So you are going to need allies. And that's part of road mapping, that there's a point in time in your campaign which you need to speak to allies, like allied groups. In some countries we will say CSO, civil society organizations, other nonprofits who are also involved in free knowledge, or just, I won't say empathize, but align with free knowledge or the goals that you have. And you are going to do media campaigns, and where that, how you are going to approach that. So, the recent development is that the preamble is ready. The roadmap is also ready. It's not a private document. We put it out there in public for anybody who has a similar context to that of those of us in Ghana, to pursue any kind of change in law that aligns with our movement. Anything you want, advocacy into that kind of area that you want to see changed. Once you're approaching Parliament, these are the steps that you need to take. So these two documents will be available. We have them out, but then as far as dissemination throughout the movement is concerned, we've not started out yet, but yeah, both of them are public documents now.
Thank you so much for outlining the steps that you followed and also the different tactics. Because this is not a formal panel, I'm coming to you. there was a mention of how important allies are in any kind of advocacy work that you're doing. And I think one of the best examples I've ever seen that I talk about in every single conference, in every meeting I'm in, is the importance of finding unlikely allies. We know who the typical friends are for the Wikimedia movement. We will go to the Open Knowledge Foundation, we will go to Creative Commons. But for the South Africa Copyright Reform Bill, our ally here in the room from Recreate builded a coalition of, I think, the most diverse types of allies that you maybe wouldn't have thought of. And that means that you have a wider network that you can access, you have more diverse opinions, which helps strengthen your arguments, but also the media is more interested, and so are the government officials, in what you have to say. Because speaker A and B aren't typically on the same team. So when they are, you pay attention. So Kyla, maybe you can speak a little bit more about the coalition you formed in South Africa.
Hi, everyone. I think I mentioned earlier, I'm a convener for Recreate. It's an umbrella advocacy group based here in South Africa, and Wikimedia South Africa is actually one of the founding members. I think it was 2018 when it started. And it was in response to a lot of kind of misinformation that was coming out about copyright reform that was being pushed by industries and obviously people who weren't interested in, the status quo changing. And there were a lot of different groups and, academics and people who realized, okay, well, this actually isn't accurate. And they came together and they formed Recreate. And now Recreate has SADTU, the biggest teachers union in the country. It has COSATU, the biggest workers union in the country. It has Wikimedia South Africa. It has creators of copyright, such as the South African Actors Guild. It's got filmmakers, writers, photographers. We are consistently doing workshops, educating people about copyright reform. We try to include as many people as possible. And we have reached out to a number of people on the continent to find out, do they have civil society-led advocacy groups? Because if things are just pushed by the industry, obviously the concerns are going to be largely commercial when it comes to copyright reform. So it's very important to have civil society input in these processes. And it actually is not quite often you'll find a civil society group really participating in these type of things or pushing for reform to even begin in the first place. And then I found out this year that it's also globally unique because not only are we kind of a large civil society group pushing for copyright reform, and we have expertise and we have all these different big organizations, we're also a collective of users and creators of copyright. So what happens globally is you often find they kind of pit the two against each other. Creatives, if users get too many rights, you guys aren't going to be able to sell any books. Users, you guys need access to everything. Don't worry about the creatives. So what's amazing is we support each other's struggles. Blind South Africa has been taking the government to court. It's won constitutional courts. In fact, they have a mandate to pass the current bill into law to make changes. And if you go to a Blind SA protest, you're going to see people from other organizations there because they're supporting that. Similarly, if the actors do something, Blind South Africa or the teachers or whatever are there showing that fair and progressive copyright doesn't mean that one side needs to suffer. It means we all kind of need to be balanced and we need to understand there are needs, especially in a country like South Africa that needs access. But then we also need to make sure that the creatives have fair royalties and stuff. And I guess the underlying thing here is that there's a misunderstanding of where the money is actually going, and that's that there's these intermediaries and these other kind of institutional things that need to be reformed. It's not creatives versus users necessarily. So that's also really helped the formation of this particular group has helped point that out. Thank you.
So that was an example of when there's a clear problem that motivates our advocacy efforts. But Jael, Open Foundation West Africa has gotten involved in some policy work this year for the first time. And there wasn't a clear campaign. So instead you did something I think is very, very clever. You realize there's a big media opportunity. There is an election that's going to be taking place in Ghana this year. And you saw that as an opportunity to run a project that would raise the visibility, not just of the organization, but also the expertise and valuable role that Wikimedians can offer to policy makers, policy influencers in the country. So can you tell us more about how you plan to take advantage of a big moment, an election year, to raise the profile of your work in Ghana?
Okay, I'm Jael. I'm the Executive Director for Open Foundation West Africa, based in Ghana. So this isn't actually new, it's just the concept that's new. So OFO first had the Ghana polls in 2020, but it focused mainly on editathons, getting information online about the elected leaders and all of that. But this time around, I think that we studied the atmosphere in Ghana and realized that things are changing. That we can tell, all the Ghanaians here know that the atmosphere this year is quite different. There's some kind of seriousness and all of that. And then there's also that kind of apathy where people think that we always vote for them, they come do nothing, and then, so there's that contention in there, and we realized we can help. The media, some media houses are also not helping because they bring out information that is false, and after a while have to be pulled down and all of that. And Sadiq mentioned how we in Africa or in Ghana struggle sometimes with the credibility of Wikimedia, where some people think that, oh, anybody at all can just get up and then edit on Wikipedia. So how can I trust information on Wikipedia? But we realize that this is a great opportunity for us to get the right information on Wikipedia to raise the profile of Wikimedians. And we thought that we cannot do this alone because, of course, our credibility is in question. And if we decide to do it alone, it wouldn't really change the minds of people. So how about partnering with relevant institutions, the Electoral Commission that is in charge of elections in Ghana, and they are the highest source of information when it comes to elections. So they are the authority. So, and then partnering with relevant and credible media houses as well. We also realized that to create visibility and be loud on this, we need to partner with the CSOs and other international organizations that are interested in elections and education around elections, which really matter. So this year we thought not to just focus on the editathons, but train people, educate people, educate not just our editors, but then the media houses as well on the need for credible information out there, because we are also embarking on a peace campaign as part of this. And we realize that in our part of the world, most riots are caused by what people read. They do not get the right information. They just take up whatever a media house publishes and go by it, and then it starts creating issues. I think recently there was a demonstration, and it's getting crazy in Ghana because we have about 53 people detained that have not been granted bail for almost 2 weeks or so. And it is quite linked to the elections because they are speaking against government and now they are detained. But as it stands now, personally, I do not even think that I have all the right information regarding the demonstration and the arrest and everything. Everybody is putting out different information. You have this media house say this, another media house say another thing, then the police release a different report. So many things going on. And we want to be the voice that put information out there that people will trust, And then, so when people want information, they just go to Wikipedia and say that, of course, I believe this. How can we do that? we need to get information from the right sources. So it is really important, and I love what South Africa have done. I feel like this is the same way we want to go, partnering with the relevant voices, credible voices that people believe in, and getting all of that information out there. So that is it. And partnerships. So this year, we are working with you, Ziski, and we are working with the partnerships team of the foundation as well. So we are not just looking at partnerships from Ghana. Elections matter in every country, but it kind of affects the whole region. And many people from outside the country also are interested in the elections happening there. So this time around, we are not just focusing on partnerships in Ghana. So even with media organizations, we are looking at media organizations in West Africa. We are looking at partnering with UNESCO as well, because we've received information of how they also partnered with the community in Indonesia to work on something similar. So we are also taking learnings from other communities that have done something similar to build on them. And then in the end, we hope to achieve the targets that we have set for ourselves. The purpose of this also is to ensure sustainability. We do not want it to be a one-time thing and it goes. Just as we are building on the previous one, we hope that in the next 4 years, it would be bigger than this. And by partnering with these people and being relevant and credible, we know that it will also put us in other spaces as well. We will be trusted by government and other policymakers. And so we will have a voice, the Wikimedian voice will be heard in other spaces as well. So this is our target for this year. And this is why we want to embark on the Ghana polls. Yeah.
Thank you. We're going to have one more speaker in the room, and then I'd like to end with our online speaker if possible. So the kind of institutional work that Jael outlined is really important. Ceslaus, you had a partnership with the African Union that wasn't focused on advocacy at all, but I know when you attended the Digital Rights and Inclusion Forum, you started to realize how relevant it was. And for those who don't know, Ceslaus is now one of the few Wikimedians who will be presenting at RightsCon, which is the single biggest digital rights conference in the world. So he's going to be going to Taiwan in February to represent us. Yes, round of applause. So since you're getting applause already, tell us about your RightsCon session and what motivated you to apply. Why do you think this is important?
Oh my. The journey, started with me getting recruited by the AU for the African Knowledge Initiative as Wikimedian in residence. So, regular Wikimedia work, we thought we'll just come, contribute articles and go home, but no. So something happened, or where the thought started was when we were given access to the 3 digital archives of the AU. And then the first thing that hit me, this is not open. You guys just, cataloged like regular government agencies. So this is not open. So we pushed for that openness, get this usable, easily accessible, give the users a better experience. While we're still working on the project, they were able to rework 2 of the archives. The third one, I wasn't able to see through. So after that, we got the consciousness of other things that could have been done on the project even before the drift. But what the drift did for us, because we are reviewing before we go back to the phase 2 of the project. So we also found out that 2 of the archives were not under the free license. Just 1 was under Creative Commons. So at that point, we started the conversation. Before we finished the round 1 of the project, they had released the second one under CC Commons. So it started clicking. Hey, we shouldn't just be about getting in articles on Wikipedia and all that. There are other works that we actually need to do. So Drift sort of landed the point easily, because when I came to Drift, some things I had overlooked as Wikimedian in residence started making sense to me. Take, for instance, we had our training sessions, in three major African languages, African official languages: the Arabic, the French, and English. But guess what? There were communities who, focused on writing in their various native languages. And guess another shocker: these guys produced better quality articles in my book, or according to the policy, than the people who were doing the regular, contributing to English Wikipedia, to French, to Arabic, and all. And that really shook me to my roots. I was like, hey guys, it seems that we actually should pay attention to the indigenous languages, because how do you get someone trained, in a separate language, and then they choose or decide to put in the work that paid off in their local, languages? So when I approached one of such communities, the person asked me a very rhetorical question. Say, Ceslaus, the English Wikipedia has what, millions of articles there already, and my native language is still in incubation. We are trying to come up. So why waste the resources we have, the human resources, in quotes, waste, of course, putting more, in to the English Wikipedia, when my language is already endangered? And that sort of shifted my thoughts. And coming to Drift, it was possible to meet these other people who were also doing the advocacy work in the various spaces across Africa. Something she said about finding alliance really opened my eyes. There was a clip or a short film that was played there. It premiered there. That film really showed us how unlucky we are as Africans. Let me give an instance. If you go to Canada, by the time you look at the cabinet or whoever that is in governance, you would have found that all of them are technocrats in their various positions. How many of our national copyright commissions here have lawyers as the directors across Africa? I'm from Nigeria, by the way, so I know what that means. So the AU, we stopped looking at it as just that regular partner for, the purpose of getting their archives as sources for our content. I started looking at it as the best place that, African governance really cares about recruiting technocrats for the job. So we need to be whispering in these guys' ears the right things that they could go whisper to their separate, regional blocks across Africa. We want to lobby without looking like we're lobbying. So what did we do? We narrowed down our work to the comms team at the AU, to the knowledge management team, great guys, and to the youth arm of the AU. So currently, they are listening, waiting for the next phase. But we don't want to go back and do the same thing we did the first year. We want to go back with new propositions. Now, our work isn't just about documenting on Wikipedia. Our work has an advocacy element. So when I attended Drift and looked at the review we are doing on the AKI, as we fondly call it, African Knowledge Initiative, I was like, hey, it would be nice to actually submit a proposal for RightsCon. We were very skeptical, remember? Because you told me lightning talk. I said, okay, let's do lightning talk. And then we were then going back and forth on, Ceslaus, should you submit it as a virtual session or in person? So when I got back home, I was like, what's there to lose if this happens in person? What's the worst that could happen? maybe they tell you to, bring it virtual, since the lightning talk is just about for 15 minutes. But to our shocks, when we submitted that session, African Knowledge Initiative, revitalizing the African indigenous languages, because this looks like our next step on the project, it was approved.
And it's going to make the AU look really good, even though it's not their work.
Exactly. But, we don't mind sharing accolades. We're not greedy. They could, come and stand for it for the camera too. So when we got the notification that it was approved, we of course had to put in the request for the travel support. So that was the moment of truth. This would either happen or not. And then they were like, "Oh, sure, you have the scholarship. We'll be flying you to Taiwan to talk about this as lightning talk." And it's like what you were telling me yesterday or so, that we have to make the best of this situation even before getting there. Who is coming? Let's start getting introduced to the right alliances before getting there, because we don't want to go there and come back the same. We want to go there, meet partnerships that could amplify what we're doing, and also maybe they can take learnings from us too. It's very possible. There is no easier way to revitalize a local indigenous African language than through the Wikipedia. It's easy, very easy. You could build your community from 1 person to 2 people to 5 to 10, and before you know it, it's a real thing.
I'm going to cut you off there. Thank you. We have one more speaker waiting patiently online. So tech team, hopefully you can help me get him up. The question for Shola is he there?
Tabang, is he there? Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
Hey.
Yes, I'm here.
So Shola, like Jael, saw that there was a need for Wikimedians to start getting a little more active in policy discussions. But he faced 2 problems. The first is that there was no clear campaign initiative or issue that they should start to run in Nigeria. The second is that there are a lot of diverse Wikimedian groups doing different types of work across the country. So my question is, on the very tactical, practical level, Shola, how did you even get started in the first place in terms of thinking about what policy topics might make sense for you to work on, and also which people should be involved in this initiative?
Thank you, Ziski. Please, could you please confirm if I am loud?
Yeah. One sec, Shola, we can barely hear you.
And close the door, please.
Am I loud and clear? Hello?
No, you're not clear.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, perhaps.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, but just to amplify the audio.
Is it better now? Is it better? Hello?
I'm so sorry, Shola. We're not going to be able to make that work. We have 5 minutes left, so thank you everybody for sitting patiently. You've heard a lot of different stories. Let's open it up to questions or comments.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for this great panel. Just a quick question to both Kayla and Sandister. As you are embarking in Ghana on copyright policy, and since the work has already been done in South Africa and has taken longer than expected since I think 2018 till now, and still waiting for the president to sign the bill. Yeah, 12 years. And now they're still embarking on this. What would be the best advice that you could give to Ghana and any community who want to work on such huge initiative, so that they can also better frame their timeline and their roadmap, so that the impact could be seen not quickly, but still in a very short timeline, because this is a long period, and volunteers come and go, and it's difficult to sustain the work if we don't have the right people embarked on such.
So I would say it's important to know that copyright itself is quite complex, and there's quite a lot that, you know, it needs to be factored in. So it is a relatively long journey in terms of, it's not a simple law to pass. However, having people who are extremely knowledgeable, definitely need expertise, human rights centered expertise as well. And then building that kind of coalition as we've done really, really helps. Because you can cover many bases. In fact, we've actually put, as Recreate, we've put a number of things on MetaWiki and Wiki Commons. I've got like an info booth back there, hopefully, if you catch me, everyone can, and I'll definitely come find you. But we did a best practices report that we've put on there, and we've put a roadmap. Like, I remember I mentioned that we've been reaching out to other African countries to find out what is their kind of civil society advocacy for copyright. And we've got that on there as well. And then we've also been doing a number of like lectures and webinars and all sorts of stuff, which we've put a few on there, and we're going to keep uploading. In fact, the beginning of last year, we did a Right to Research in Africa conference, where we had a number of people from around the continent and even beyond. Siski was there as well, where we discussed important issues around, you know, the need to access important data and information, and what are the type of laws that would facilitate that, and, you know, how far are we along that journey. So there's a lot to it, but I would say definitely the coalition building is key, and continuously engaging government. You know, you got to know who are your allies within government. You got to know who knows what's what, because one of the, I think, trickiest things we've had to deal with is changing administrations. And changing administrations means you have to re-educate them. You have to, you know, it's a whole thing. So as much as possible, you know, the education of the public is super important, and that needs to happen in parallel, and education of certain organizations interested in copyright. But you need to know who are the key people, who are the decision makers, and they need to be targeted and at the top of your priority. Thank you.
And to the point of copyright is complicated and you need experts. I know we've got Alice in the room, and we also have some representatives from the Goethe Institute. Groups like AFLIA and librarians tend to really know their way around copyright laws. So working with them is an excellent way to make sure that you build up that expertise. Sandister, did you have any response to the question or comment?
I'm grateful. Yes, I am grateful that he raised that we need to be, well, if I can call it mentorship or support, or speaking with the people who have been down that path or taking that journey, because it's a long one. We've been watching and we know it's a long one. Yes, but then, yes. And then, but one thing that I'm going away with is the importance. I mean, for the bit on the law, even allies could follow up. But when a Wikimedian is doing a project and suddenly they don't want to be there anymore, who carries on with the work? That's one thing that our movement really needs to work on, continuity. So I'm really grateful for that point as well. And we will do everything to just make sure that even if it's not Wikimedia Ghana, like we said, go put the stuff on Meta, put the roadmap out, let people know where to continue, and then work with people like Ziski, because if maybe Ziski is no longer at the foundation, there's another person who is probably coming and knows that work, that portfolio still exists, that the foundation can also touch base with the community on and look for updates to see what's happening. So it's, yes, do your work in such a way that others can follow. Yes.
We also have a very ugly MetaWiki page. It's called the Global Advocacy MetaWiki page. And there's a documentation section where we're compiling all of the great advocacy related resources that not just the foundation, but also our allies and also affiliates and movement members have created roughly since 2016. And there's stuff from 2012 there too. So thank you everybody for your patience, and please join me in giving a big round of applause to all of our speakers.
It's now time for a tea break. We're just going to come back after the tea break to the main room for the closing session for today.
All right, colleagues, welcome back from that session. It is a matter of urgency that you clear the room because we need to prepare for the next session. The room has to be, the barrier has to be brought down. And our next session will be meeting here in around 5 to 7 minutes. It's a plenary session, and it is about resourcing Wikimedians as a community. It is our last session for the day before we head out for our evening. So it is a matter of urgency that you clear up and out. Please move with your belongings. Be responsible for your possessions as you clear up and out.
Thank you so much for joining. Last minute. Couldn't even tell. I kept hanging around here to wait for you. I ran to the back.
Carol, move it. Where is the person? Bring the word down. If you see people don't hear, bring it down. Yeah. Please, let's clear the room for the next session.
You should put together, you could do like a panel session
Carolina, which session have you enjoyed?